Welcome to the show. Today is December 15th, 2022, and we start by saying that I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This information is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Today we'll be talking about stock symbol MMTLP, which was and has now become the private company Next Bridge Hydrocarbons. All right, and the title of this video is Some Possible Questions for Finra, hashtag Finra Fraud. So, I'm not going to go over Finra fraud right now. We will go over that in detail. But suffice it to say, I'm going to start this video with, suffice it to say we got some good information from John Berta, which I personally had forgotten. This tweet came out yesterday on December 14th. I can shed some light on some light on its timing of issues. AST will issue shares tonight. This was December 14th. Including to DTC for street name. DTC sends back the broker-dealer names and allotments. Broker-dealers get notified of their allotment, and then balancing needs to take place. IOUs, nakeds, shorts, up to 2 weeks per S1. So, on the bottom left, we see what I have a clipping from the 44B, which is the last amendment which took place to the S1 and has the dates and times, of course. The record date is December 12th, so if you had shares on December 12th and you held through to December 14th, which was yesterday, the date of distribution, then you will be getting shares of Next Bridge Hydrocarbons, or you are at the very least entitled to shares. You should be getting those shares most likely from your broker-dealer. Okay, because usually most people have their shares held in street name. The important part is we expect that it will take, over here is the most important part, let me see. This is where we're looking at. We expect that it will take the distribution agent up to 2 weeks to electronically issue shares of our common stock to you or your bank or brokerage firm on your behalf by way of direct registration in book entry form. Okay, that's where the 2 weeks comes from. The S1 filing and the S1 filing and the 424B. Okay, that's where we find that information. Now, as we know, Finra fraud took place. What is Finra fraud? Finra, of course, halted trading on the 9th and the 12th, which were the last two possible trading days, which would have allowed for short sellers to close their positions. Short sellers do not need to actually have their shares settle or clear during that point in time because they would not get shares. Short sellers have sold shares they do not own to other people who have bought those shares. So short sellers would not be getting those shares. We don't care about the shares settling when short sellers are buying them. They are merely closing their short position. Okay? In any case, Finra, as we know, they halted trading on the 9th and the 12th. This notice was issued out sometime on the 8th. But this notice was issued out on the 8th after the close of trading. I believe possibly around midnight on the 9th, on the 8th and the 9th. Who knows? I forget exactly. But it was sometime around then that this happened. The trading and quoting will halt. The trading and quoting halt will end concurrent with the deletion of the symbol effective Tuesday, December 13th. So December 13th is when the symbol will be deleted and trading is halted. So you have no choice. You cannot sell your shares because of Finra and Finra's action and that problem, right? So let's read this statement again because I have some questions, and that's what this video is about. On effective Friday, December 9th, Finra halted trading and quoting of Series A preferred shares of MetaMaterials stock symbol MMTLP pursuant to Rule 6440A3. Finra has determined that an extraordinary event has occurred or is ongoing that has occurred or is ongoing that has caused or has the potential to cause significant uncertainty in the settlement and clearance process for shares in MMTLP, and that therefore halting trading and quoting in MMTLP is necessary to protect investors and the public interest. Somehow, I don't think this was done to protect investors. Neither do other people. There are thousands and thousands of people protesting. Finra, of course, I think they are, of course, protecting the short hedge funds. But here's the questions that I have. What is the extraordinary event, Finra, that has caused the uncertainty in settlement? And if there was an uncertainty in settlement, why was not just everything frozen until the uncertainty in settlement is resolved? And then 2 days later, trading can resume, okay? If the uncertainty in settlement is merely a simple paperwork problem, just take 2 days or a week or whatever, freeze trading, freeze everything, and then unfreeze it afterwards and just move on. And you have those 2 extra days, right? Right. So we do know from Finra itself that as of December 8th, when they issued this notice, which was a corporate action notice, which came out on the 6th, everything was fine. Everything was moving along according to plan. Everything was fine. Finra itself said everything was fine. They've read the S1 filing. They have, of course, the S1 filing was the S1 filing, and the 44B was issued, of course. The S1 filing was done on the 23rd of December 2022. I'm sorry, the 23rd of November 2022, and the S1, the 44B was also out on the 25th, which was the day after Thanksgiving, of course. So the day before Thanksgiving, it was issued and updated. Day after Thanksgiving was issued, but preliminary drafts of the S1 was available all the way from June and July, and they all had this wording. There was just some slight minor variations, but in general, Finra was aware of this for a long time. And in fact, Finra was perfectly fine with everything up until December 6th, up until December 8th. On December 6th, even they issued this notice, right? So the question, what broke on December 8th after hours, right, for Finra to pull this U3 halt, right? What broke? Those are my 2 questions there. We know on December, this is the OTC, this is the OTC securities as of December 14th, 2022. This is the OTC threshold list, okay? Stock symbol MMTLP has been on this threshold list every single day all the way up until the 12th. How did it get there on the 9th and the 12th? Well, because those are settlement days as well, too. Okay. Trading can take place all the way up at the 9th, and T+2 means they can settle on the 9th and the 12th. So my other questions to Finra is, why was MMTLP on the OTC threshold list every single day it was traded in December, including the 9th and the 12th? Now, being on the threshold list means that there are greater than 10,000 failures to deliver. 10,000 failures to deliver. Okay, what is a failure to deliver? This is the fact that the stock has a problem. There's a problem delivering this, settling this stock within 2 days for greater than 10,000 shares at a value of greater than, $50,000. Okay, that's what this says over here. This specifically, the threshold list, Rule 4320 defines a threshold security as an equity security of an issuer that is not that, etc., that there is an aggregate fail to deliver position at a registered clearing agency of 10,000 shares or more. The aggregate fail to deliver position is valued at $50,000 or more, meaning the stock price is greater than $5 per share. The security is included on a list published by the self-regulatory agency or self-regulatory organization. Finra is a self-regulatory organization. So, to fail to deliver, chances are there's heavy naked shorting going on. So heavy naked shorting of stock symbol MMTLP was likely resulting in fails to deliver. Let me repeat that. Heavy naked shorting of stock symbol MMT, was heavy naked shorting of stock symbol MMTLP resulting in failures to deliver? Most likely. Most likely. And in fact, it resulted in failures to deliver every single day in December, all the way up until the 12th, right? But it's not just that. The story will continue. Anyway, because of all this So what's another side effect of heavy naked shorting? Well, another side effect of heavy naked shorting is that you have a negative price action, right? You can actually push the price of a share down because you are selling shares you don't own. You are flooding the market with supply. And as we know, the price of stock symbol MMTLP went down significantly. And we know it went down significantly. On the very last day of trading, 13.7 million shares of volume on 12/8, 75% of which is estimated to be naked shorting. Well, that's really interesting. We see from this, from the Meta News and Events page, that on 11/23 they issued the plan of completion of the spinoff of Next Bridge Hydrocarbons on 11/23, which is the day before Thanksgiving. Okay, so Finra had plenty of time to get all of this stuff, to understand all of this stuff. Nothing was unexpected as of 11/23 because all of this plan was issued a long time ago. It was out in the works. S1 was there for a long time. There was no unexpected stuff that happened back then, right? And Finra had plenty of time to comment on the actual, Finra had plenty of time to comment on the S1 filings, the 424B. The SEC approved the S1 filings, okay, and they said it became effective and then moved on. But remember I talked about the threshold list? Well, it turns out stock symbol MMTLP was on the threshold list every single day. And by every single day, I mean every single trading day since October 14th. 41 consecutive trading days. This is Finra's own OTC threshold list. So there must have been heavy naked shorting going on in order to cause this OTC deliver failure, right? I believe there must have been a lot of heavy naked shorting going on. And Finra was aware of that because they actually published the threshold list. Now, all this heavy naked shorting and all that, well, what does Finra say is a short interest? Well, the official short interest number as of 11/30, because because short interest data is always delayed. We never get active short interest data. And this is official self-reported short interest data. Is only about 4.65 million shares. So if the short interest is only 4.65 million shares, there could not have been an extraordinary event to halt trading and prevent shorts from closing their positions. Good grief. 13.7 million shares were traded on December 8th, 2022. 4.6 million shares is nothing. Let me repeat. 4.6 million shares is nothing. Because, as we saw, 13.7 million shares were traded that day. Well, we all know that 75% of that trading is actually just naked shorting that takes place. And the further question I have on that is, so the real short interest, I believe, must be in the hundreds of millions to cause a settlement problem where shorts could not close. Now, the brokers, have to reconcile the books. We can't really blame the brokers right now. They have to reconcile their books. There are only 165 million shares of Next Bridge Hydrocarbons. The question I have is, why were brokers prevented from reconciling their books? Why were they prevented from reconciling their books? Because brokers could have allowed to close only for trading on those last 2 days, which would allow them to close out the short position. Instead, Finra halted trading. Let me repeat. Instead of brokers just saying, we're going to issue close-only trading on stock symbol MMTLP, which would have basically said, all the open positions, they're allowed to close out their positions. So if you're long, you have your shares already, those shares have been settled, you're allowed to sell those shares because we know those shares exist. If you're short and you've borrowed shares, then you would be allowed to close your position, which means you need to buy. You don't need any shares delivered because you already sold shares you don't own. All that happens then at that point is that the book entry gets canceled. But instead, trading was halted by Finra. So we know that on December 8th, 2022, AST, the transfer agent, stopped allowing direct registration of shares. Finra issues an order to halt trading before the market opens on June 9th. The other question I have then, to Finra, of course, is, or the DTC even, was there a massive short position on MMTLP which would be impossible to close? would attempting to close that massive short position have caused a massive price increase to stock symbol MMTLP? And finally, because of all these questions, the final question is Finra colluding with short interest to suppress the price of MMTLP? And if Finra is colluding with short interest to suppress the price of MMTLP, that means there are more than three players, three individuals, because Finra consists of multiple individuals who were acting to suppress the price of a stock. When you act together to suppress the price of a stock, that is called stock manipulation. When more than three people attempt to do this at one point in time, that invokes RICO laws. What are RICO laws? RICO laws are laws intended to prevent authorized crime. So then RICO laws need to be looked at. The Department of Justice looked at RICO laws last time organized crime took place. And by organized crime, we mean a large organization like Finra. Is Finra now committing organized crime along with possibly short sellers, right? Are they colluding with short interest to suppress price of MMTLP? And if so, have they broken RICO laws? That's all I have to say. Let me end by saying that I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This information is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Today is December 15th at the time that I'm making this video. And thank you. Goodbye.